Talk to me. Y'all got a show coming on today. Today, we're going to talk about that call-in that the IPS bus drivers did that impacted so many children and family. We have the union reps here. We're going to be seeking nothing, naked truth. You ready?
This is not a test.
If you listen to this program, you're going to get the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the butt-naked truth. This program is X-rated.
You ready? You want answers? I think I'm entitled. You want answers? I want the truth! You can't handle the truth!
You are now tuned into the world's most honest talk show host, the Elder Mmoja, Ajabu.
Welcome. For those who don't know, this is Elder Mmoja, Ajabu, your host for After Naked Truth. This program is dedicated to stripping the clothes off of well-dressed lies, and there's a bunch of well-dressed lies running around here. So if you can't stand the truth, I would suggest that you situate yourself elsewhere. This program is X-rated. It's X-rated because the truth will not have on any clothes. You are listening to the most truthful talk show host in the business. Unbought, unbossed, and unafraid of the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the butt-naked truth. Today we got a top shelf show for you. On the dais, we have two representatives, the international vice president and the local president for ASME, who is negotiating for the bus drivers in this situation that's going on with IPS. What I'm going to do right now is let them introduce themselves to you, and then we'll get an update on where negotiation stands, and then we'll get into some questions. If you want to join the conversation, type in comments, and we'll see them on the screen, and we'll interact with those comments. So, Steve Quick,
how you doing there, brother? Appreciate the invite.
Pleasure.
My name is Stephen Quick. I'm the International Vice President for ASME. I represent the state of Indiana, state of Kentucky, and Tennessee. And I'm also the local president here in the city of Indianapolis, local 725. And to my left,
I am Vincent Bibbs. I am the local president for ASME 661, where I serve as the president for the bus drivers, custodian, paraprofessional, and food service department of IPS.
Excellent. So everybody is concerned with the bus drivers that called in here, what was that, last week?
Mm-hmm. Started last Friday.
Yes, and we understand that that was supposed to be about them losing jobs because IPS is going to contract with another busing service. What is that, First Student?
Yes.
So please give us an update on where.
Well, let me tell you the truth, the whole truth, nothing but the truth.
Please.
The employees are not upset about the contracting out.
Okay.
What upset the employees is 6 months or 4 months prior to all this happening, they was in negotiation, the union and IPS, and they was in negotiations. They negotiated one of the best contracts they had in a while, which they got raises, and they talked about getting new buses. They never told the union that they was considering contracting out the work. And the transportation department felt secure because they just did a what is it called, a referendum, and raised taxes for transportation.
Okay.
I think they
got some money.
Yeah, they say they got money, so you get a good contract. They talk about buying buses. They got a referendum that the taxpayers voted yes on, so everybody felt secure. So maybe 5 weeks ago or so, they came and met with the union leadership on the president's side and said that we are contracting out the transportation and attendance jobs to First Student.
Now, what's an attendant? Is that
That's
just
to take a
somebody
bus,
just rides
they
on the
ride
bus with
and
them?
make sure the kids are safe and
Okay.
good, and for the bus to take off, you got to have the attendant.
Okay.
So then, an hour later, they met with the actual employees and told them that. So what's the employees and we don't support not picking up the kids, they got to get to school. But we support their anger because they felt betrayed, right? So that's what the anger is about. It ain't that it's contracted out, that milk spilled. It's that the trust that they lost, they don't feel that IPS respected them as 30, 25, 30 years, 40-year workers,
my
you
Lord.
know what I mean, that they put their life in. And a lot of the bus drivers, folks don't know this, they bring jackets, food, and everything on that bus for them kids. They treat them kids like it's their kids,
Like
right?
their parents.
So they felt betrayed, and that's what they got angry for. So they're not angry that it's contracted out. That's done. The anger came from the betrayal. I've been here 25, 30 years and worked. So I'm thinking I'm good. And if I'm not good, I'm thinking somebody's got the decency to come and say, you ain't good. And so that's where the anger came from. So, yeah, a lot of folks took off, but some folks are really sick because we talk about the kids on the bus. But the fact is, these bus drivers got kids too.
Sure.
They got a family too. They've been here
Livelihood.
30
Yeah,
years
yeah,
too.
yeah,
So
yeah.
now, yeah, this is another private contractor, but you got to reapply. You got to do background checks. You got to do drug testing and all that. So there's no guarantee
Right.
that you're gonna get on, right? So that's stressful all by itself.
Sure. And then
and think about the day that they actually told the employees this, and they had to drive the bus,
Right.
knowing that their job is coming to an end, right? So that's where the frustration, and then I think the news had it where the frustration is about the contractor. I think it was the way it was done.
Okay.
And let me say this, and the frustration to be hit in the stomach twice was on the proposed package, the loyalty package that they offered them, to not come to the table with us to give us the opportunity to negotiate what a package was. That's another slap in the face.
So the union was not at the table when
Yeah,
no.
IPS was negotiating the new contract.
We didn't know nothing about it. So
Is that proper?
no. What should it not if you want a trusting working relationship? No. So they put us all kind of in a trick bag because what happens is the employees that we do represent, then it's a smack on us because they thinking like, what?
Right.
Y'all
let
the
this happen
leader,
to
and y'all
them?
let this, you know what I mean? So if they had been transparent and worked with it, because I've been through privatization before, whatever, we could have sit down with them and showed them how to do it where everybody was covered.
How long you been
know what I mean?
with the union?
36 years.
So you got experience.
Got
You
experience.
done
We-
seen damn near everything that there is to see.
Yeah, when Goldsmith was here in the 90s, they privatized the wastewater treatment plant.
Okay.
We went through the same thing.
Okay.
He connected us with the private sector. We negotiated a contract. We did a smooth transition. Everybody was hot. And we could have did the same thing in this instance.
But to have us come out of negotiations in October and you don't say anything when we're negotiating this contract, then come back in January to tell me you're pulling 130 people out, that's not the proper way to do that.
Right. And so where is it? So being that you were not in on the negotiations, then you couldn't negotiate that. Okay, if you the new people that your IPS is going to contract with gets the contract, then part of them getting the contract would be that they would have to hold over the drivers from the old contract.
If we was at the table, that's what we'd have presented.
I bet you would have.
So, but you know, sometimes you can get some good out of bad.
Okay.
So
Talk to me.
we
What
went.
good can we get
We
out of
went.
this?
We went and spoke with the board, and the vote was still the contracted out. But hindsight, I guess they realized the union should have been on the front end.
Sure.
So since then, we've been talking. The good part is First Student, we work with them in about 9 other states, so they're used to having a union.
Familiar.
They say if we get to our 50+1, they want to hire 600 employees. If we get 301 employees, they automatically recognize us, which is good for the employees, so we can negotiate.
Okay.
IPS,
So First Union is not unionized. Is what you're
certain
saying?
areas they got
I see.
around the state, but not here
I
right
see.
now.
Okay.
And since then, the milk been spilled. IPS we've been working real close together. We're trying to figure out what we can do for the employees that we represent. We've been meeting with them since it's been going on. We told them they wasn't offering $2,000 for their services. They was offering $2,000 to not miss no days so them kids could get picked up. And the way the employees that we represent, what they want a severance pay.
Right.
If I've been here 30, 40 years,
Right.
I don't want the same thing. A guy been here 6 months or a
Right,
girl,
right.
$2,000 or whatever. So they didn't think that was respectful. So we got
And
to a
I wouldn't
point.
either, would you?
No, I agree. I agree with the employees. So what we're doing is we work with IPS. We met with our union members this morning at the East Base. In the morning, we'll be meeting with the ones on the West Base, and they're telling us what they want. And then we got a meeting at 12 o'clock tomorrow with IPS, and they're willing to talk about what the folks want to pick up the kids or whatever. We're trying to get it resolved. I will say, it didn't, with IPS, it didn't start out right, but it's going in the right direction now.
They straightening up and flying right.
Where I agree with IPS is we all agree, the union leadership, we don't want to leave none of our babies out there in the cold and left. I understand the anger from the members we represent, but it ain't the kids' fault.
No, but this, I got a car payment. Where does my interest, or where does the child's interest, or how does the child's interest become more important than my interest? And I got babies to take care of. I mean, now that may not have been the proper way to do it, to call in, but I understand the anger, and I understand I'm going to do something. And I don't think that the bus driver. With that too.
No, we did not.
Okay, because that's what it says in this article. It says the mass call-off has denied our most vulnerable children, including many of our students with special needs who require special transportation services, their educational opportunities.
For asking.
My man.
So that's clear.
We'll
Can't
say,
control what
they write.
We would,
Okay, but that's not y'all's position.
No, we
would not have thought that would have been the
we
case.
support the drivers. We understand the drivers. You got some senior, older folks. They don't want to uproot and start all over, and they don't want to go in the dark figuring out how they're going to live.
Exactly.
I get that. What I'm saying is, based on what they did do, not showing up, I would have preferred for us collectively as a union, get with our members, put a strategy together on how we would respond, and all of us doing the same thing. Because what you end up happening when you don't unify and do business collectively together, we have folks that showed up that was sent home. So that impact their pocket, and that's their brother and sister union, brother and sister too, right? So I'll just figure out, instead of being angry and doing something without everybody collectively, so we don't have to defend this or they defend that. We could do it where they protect it, where they don't come in. So we had a good conversation with them today. The employees from the East Base, and we're going to do the same thing at the West Base, and I think we will end up in the right place.
And let me say this, for the record, and I've been saying it from day one, these people took sick time that they've earned. They've earned that sick time. So don't punish them for taking sick time.
Yeah, they earned it. They've been there for years, and they had a right to use it.
And they could very well have been sick. I'm losing my job. I'm sick
of
this. I'm sick.
We've always said that. We have never come out public and said they're wrong, they did this, they're rogue. We didn't use that term, and we wouldn't do that. We can distree. We like family.
Well, I can see disappointment. I can see disappointment, but to condemn, that's strong language.
It was 100 and some drivers. IPS, there was only 43 of our employees that I know of that took off. And for the record, they knew that the night before.
Oh, is that right?
About 2:30 in the morning was what the last message that I got. So,
and we represent 2 points, right? We represent the IPS employees, which is about 135, and that transportation and attendance, and then we represent about 450 at Durham. That's a private contractor that contracts with IPS to pick up the kids. Their contract was cut too. So we're dealing with over 500 employees that we're trying to make sure they get placed.
So who has the contract now?
Durham has the
contract now.
And
so within the transition, who owns the buses? Does Durham own the bus, or does IPS own the bus?
From what I'm told, they lease those buses.
They lease
as of June, the bus lease is up. That's what I was told.
And so,
So
is
IPS got
First Student-
buses. They Durham's got buses, and First Student got some buses.
Okay.
Yes.
So in the new contract, is First Student bringing their buses, or are they going to be
They said-
using the buses of IPS that
At
IPS
the
leases?
board meeting, they said they got their buses. They got some new buses, and I'm sure they're going to use some existing buses. Is what was said at the board.
Are they leasing or do they own?
I know they're the largest transportation company in the world.
Okay, so what you was talking about is First Student says that they have their own buses.
Yeah.
Okay.
They'll use some existing buses, I'm sure, and then they got some other buses. The new buses, they say it's got some different technology in it, and seat belts and stuff for the kids. Yes.
So the drivers will actually have to be trained then.
Not really.
If
Not
there's
really.
new technology.
No, the technology with the cameras and stuff.
Oh,
You know what I mean?
okay.
Yeah, and safety
Has
and
nothing to
arms
do
and the
with the
bus.
drives.
Nothing to do
Okay.
with the driving.
I
yeah.
see, I see.
Yeah. And remember, and we working close with First Student, a private company.
Okay.
They want to recognize the union. We got about a little bit over 500 employees that's impacted. They want to hire 600.
Oh,
So they saying,
so you're gonna gain
So
100.
they are saying that, yeah,
100
as
jobs.
long as you know your driving record's good and you pass your background and you know what I mean, you're good. I support where our employees are upset that they have to even go back through that. They would like a smooth transition, which if IPS had us on the front end, that's what we'd have been pushing for.
Is it not possible to get that smooth transition in place now?
No, because now the way the contract was done, they've done it with IPS. It's a done deal. IPS has no control over its private company and tell them who to hire and how to hire. So that's
I
where
see.
we're at now. Where if we was at the table in the beginning, like I've been
Oh,
through
that could've
before,
been
we could have,
negotiated.
we could have had it negotiated. Yeah.
So go through the process.
Today we talked to the East Base. They started applications first of this month where folks can put in application. A lot of them said they've been doing that, going through that process. So they have to go through that in a background check, and if everything passes out, they'll be good. I'm telling you, the frustration for them is the way they were treated, disrespected.
Rightfully so.
And yeah, that's where the real frustration come in, you know what I mean? And they like their jobs, and they like the kids, and they like the community, yes.
Now, Alicia Johnson, she says she's going to look at, she's so livid that she's going to look at taking people's jobs. Has that changed?
No, it don't matter what we go through. There's rules everywhere.
Sure.
So if you're on a job, there's a process and a rule when you take off of work that you have to follow. So if you're mad or not, you still got to follow rules. This is where we stand. If our employees took off and they're sick and they got the proper documentation by policy, they're going to be good. If somebody, so they're going to be good. If you're on FMLA, you had emergency leave, you got the proper documentation, they can't touch you. They can be mad.
Right.
They can't touch you. If you've done something that is not within the scope of the policy or whatever, you put yourself at risk.
You do. But now, you know,
That's good if you at home sick, but think of this. At work, they got a policy
Right.
that if you miss work,
then you have to bring in a statement from the
they
doctor?
got. I don't know if it's after 3 days or how it works. It's 3 days, but even if you got documentation, you get half point. If you take off and don't have documentation, it's a whole point. They got a point system as well. I don't know the whole system, but even though because it's your employer, they got rules. Yeah. So and believe this is where ASME stand. We're not saying that nobody fake. We're not saying that nobody wasn't sick and whatever. And I think everybody's grown adults,
Sure,
and
sure.
you know better than me how you feel.
Right.
So we supporting them,
Okay.
but IPS got a right to dig a little deeper.
Right.
And if everybody's good, and we told them that at East Bay, we'll tell them at West Bay, if you got the proper documentation showing you were sick, we don't care about IPS
Right.
being mad.
Okay.
We good.
Okay.
You know what I mean?
You say
So,
we'll
yeah.
stand with you.
Yeah, oh, ain't no question. Ain't no question.
So when you the student continually showed up to get on the bus. So she closes the bus so that the student can't get on. The next day, student shows up again. This time, she's not sitting in the seat to close the door. She's standing at the front. The student
your question first.
Okay.
Is the area you're talking about, is it represented by a union? And if not,
I don't think so.
if not, you an employee at will in the state of Indiana, and they don't have to have just cause to get rid of you. You at will. To me, that means as long as they ain't saying they're getting rid of you because of your race, your religion, stuff like that, you ain't got no rights. That's why we try to expand our union to be in all areas that we can be in, so folks can have a negotiated right. Yes.
So in order for her to deal with that, if there's no union, then she's got to say, okay, you didn't treat a white person like, because she's a black lady, you know, or you didn't treat somebody else like you discriminated
She would have
against
to,
me.
whatever she does, she would have to defend herself. She's on her own.
Well, say,
I'm just being honest with you.
please be,
On your
you
own,
know,
yeah,
please.
She on her
She
own.
needs to get an attorney.
Okay.
And
do
normally-
you think that she would have a case?
Normally, I don't know enough of the facts to say that, but normally the process when folks feel they're not being treated right and or discriminated against, they go to the Indiana Civil
Rights Commission.
or EEOC, and they file a complaint. They'll send a letter to the employee, do the investigation, see what's going on, send a letter to the employee for them to respond to their side of the story, and they try to mediate. And just say, for example, they don't get enough information. Normally, what they do, they'll send a letter out and say your case can't be justified, but at the bottom, they'll give them 90 days. If they wanted to file a lawsuit, they could. That's the document they normally take to the lawyer and say, hey, I did my due diligence here. Now I want the next step.
So after you talk to the drivers and you get what they want, then you're going to go back to the school.
Yeah. What's the plan?
Yeah.
The plan is we met this morning at 9:45 with the East Bay, and then tomorrow we're going to West Bay, which is Northwest, and then we're going to be meeting with the IPS at noon tomorrow, and tell them based on the information that we're gathering from these bases what folks want to be able to come to work and be respected for the years of service that they've been there, and how we can move on and get everybody all the job done between now and the end of June.
Okay. So
I think they're not mad. They're not mad at the union.
Okay.
I think it's folks because when masses of folks get misinformation, that's why we're going out to the bases. Once we go out and explain to people the process, it was, for example, it was a rumor that they sent out the union to negotiate with IPS. Well, I got them clear today. We ain't had no negotiations since it's been going at all, right? And what had happened was IPS put a paper together to pay them that $2,000 at the end of June if they come to work every day. And when we got engaged, we said, well, what about their sick time? I said, normally when you rear folks up, they at least pay them 2 for 1. They added that to their own list. So, but then the rumors, oh, they negotiated, we ain't had none. Now, we're in a position tomorrow, noon, to actually negotiate and say, we don't want that, we'll take that, we can do that. But that will be the first negotiations since this stuff doesn't transpire.
and so severance pay will be on the table.
That's what the union side call it.
Sure. What do
What
they call it?
IPS want is a guarantee that bus is going to be there picking them kids up. So they didn't want to call it that. They wanted to make a deal, and they didn't have the union at the table in the front. And their deal was, we're going to offer you $2,000. You get at June, but we want to make sure that you come to work every day to get that $2,000.
So they want to pay a bribe.
Yeah, well, I mean, what I'm just saying is just to make sure that, well, you got to remember, the IPS testing's coming up.
Sure,
and
sure.
the kids got to be there to do their testing.
And rightfully
stuff.
so. I
Yeah,
understand.
so
right.
so
they
that's-
sweeten the
but
pot.
yeah, they're trying
to make sure that they'll come.
So
in.
that's what they want to do is give $2,000, make sure that folks come to work. The way the folks that work there 25, 30 years or more, they're saying that's all good, but I'm talking about me now. I'm talking about my life, my blood, my sweat that I've been here 25, 30 years. I want you to recognize that. So that's what we'll be talking about tomorrow at noon at the table. How do you recognize the services, the years of service that folks have put in to the IPS?
Right.
And let me say this, what they offered, that $2,000, that was a loyalty bonus. How can you say, I've been loyal getting these babies to work all this time, and you're going to offer me loyalty of $2,000,
Right.
and I've been here over 20,
25 years.
30, 40 years, and that's all. That's not loyal.
Well, say that don't seem like you really want me to be loyal to you, you know. So that's going to be interesting negotiations. And now, where's retirement in? If the
Retirement's the same. We got folks now that can retire before June. So they get their sick time, vacation time, and whatever the package. They get that. That does not change. The folks that we're talking about, the ones that don't meet the retirement requirements, right? The other thing IPS did, and which I appreciate too, is we talked to them once we got engaged about employees that wanted to stay up under the PERF program, the Public Employees Retirement Program. They didn't want to go to 401k and get to fend for yourself. So IPS did send us 22 positions that was still at IPS because we still there.
Okay.
They was just a group that we represent. We still represent the other folks over there, so the union is still there. And allow them to apply for those positions if they want to stay. Just say, for example, you there, and I'm gonna retire in a couple more years. I want to keep my retirement or whatever. They got that option as well.
I see.
So on the back end, we have started working together, and for the betterment of the employees. Yes.
Well, it sounds like that any bus drivers that are not unionized should be taking steps to get unionized, because otherwise you don't have any backup.
You ain't got no backup, and even so much information, documentation that you don't even have access to.
Right.
And that don't do nothing but add stress to you. So eventually you're going to have to go find your job somewhere else anyway. Yeah, but the only way you have a voice at work is with a union, and we're a good union.
I know you a good man.
Yeah.
I ain't been in the union with you, but
yeah.
I've known you for years.
Yeah.
And I know your word has been truthful all the way. And we have not. Word has always been good.
Right.
You know, so now when you talk about the bus drivers that lose their job, will the union help them to get jobs, or are they on their own with that?
Yeah, what we done and continue to do. When it first happened and we was not on the front end of this, I talked to other employers that's looking for drivers, that's short drivers, and they made a commitment that whatever if things don't go right with this other employer, they bring them to me quick, right? What I didn't want to do, and I told the employees this because I try to be transparent, I didn't want to throw the businesses and names and stuff out there where folks abandon right now and leave IPS and then we ain't got nobody. So I told them, I said, I got a plan B, but I ain't telling you. You know what I mean? Because I want
you to stay here till we
take care of these babies.
Finish this up, and then we'll get to the next chapter.
I'm telling you that at the end of the day, everybody will be working.
Oh, that's excellent.
You know what I mean?
Yeah,
you know,
no, that's
especially
excellent.
the driver with CDLs. Everybody's looking for drivers. You know what I mean? Yeah. So,
Yeah, you heard it here first. You know, anybody that. You know, a position somewhere else. Is major.
and like
And
I
you
said,
should really be given who's standing in the gap to make sure that your livelihood is of the quality that you're used to. Come on, you had something else
this
to
like I
say.
said, and the employer we're talking about is a large employer here in the city of Indianapolis that's short. They're about 200 drivers short right now. And you know, so and DPW is going to start a night shift, so we're going to need some.
Oh, okay. Well,
you know what I mean? So
you may not have to drive a school bus. You can drive
go to work.
a city truck.
And I told him, and we said this, even in defense of our, and I don't know if folks pay attention to this, but even in the defense of our workers, most of the drivers are women. Most of the women in Indianapolis are the head of the household. And we said that, single parent, and you know what I mean? They mama, daddy, grandma, granddaddy, they do it all. So it's a little, and it impacts our community, right?
Sure it
with
does.
everything else that's going on there.
If mama mad, everybody mad.
Yeah. And so, understand anger. I agree with them being angry. I don't think they started out, it was done right, but we're trying to fix it.
Sounds like
And you got to have a level head to talk, to hear, so we can figure out how to fix it, right?
So I would say one of the lessons first.
Yeah. Yeah.
Let the union know. And then let the union intercede because the union is there for you. That's what the union, that's what your dues are for.
And the other thing is, though, that, and I'm
Would you
trying
agree
to
with
fix
that?
this. Yeah. But the other thing is, got to know your contract, too. Just like you go to church,
What's
you know,
the
you know the
rules?
Bible.
Yeah.
You need to know your union, right? I mean, you
Most
know
of them don't know the
right,
Bible,
You don't,
though.
yeah, but I'm saying when you go to church, you're trying to learn that. When
Yes,
you get
sir.
a union, learn your contract
By
so
all
you know
means.
what your rights is, right? And then that way you can stand yourself. And the
Sure.
other thing is, and I don't know if folks understand this or not, the union is all of us. We just the leaders.
I hear
You know, they hired us just like they hired them,
Mm-hmm.
and we stepped up. But sometimes the members don't understand that it's all of us a union.
Sure.
They want to point and say, hey, this brother's the president, what he gonna do? And really what it should be said is what we
what we gonna do.
That's what you got to think about it, and you're not separate. Matter of fact, we're working on a T-shirt to show that, and it's going to say "My ass me."
My
Ass me. So even when you complain, you're complaining about you,
It was a-
your ass me. You know what I mean? Yeah.
And I've said it from day one. There's strength in numbers.
By all means.
And that's power in numbers. So we cannot, and I want it to be said, we're not mad at the IPS management. We have to make sure our people are out voting. And if the board and people have not done that we put in power, have not done what they're supposed to do, then we use our power, our elected power to do what we have to do. Because we're fighting to get certain things back in our contract, and I'm working with this brother to help me get that.
And like I said, is he absolutely right? And that's what we were saying. After they took the vote, we took names, and we said, all right, they'll be running again. You know what I mean? So we took two actions. One, we're trying to motivate our employees and members to run for office themselves, so they can be empowered in their own community, right? And find out how politics works, who's for you and who's against you, and how you can move people out of your way.
So on the school board, are you open to naming names or?
I don't. I'm gonna tell you what I think about it. I'm just gonna be honest.
It's on me to ask.
Just
guys.
just like the superintendent used the word rogue that we all
Right.
disagree with. I don't
reprehensible.
never
A rogue action.
Yeah, I don't ever get personal.
I see.
That's not being professional.
That's excellent.
I think they got a right as a board to vote their conscience, and they did that. And they may had more information than we had. My point is, if we was at the table, we'd know that.
Sure.
That's
And
what
they
the
and you
issue
should
is.
be at the
Yeah.
table. You
Yeah,
know,
yeah. And
otherwise
let me
they're
just
gonna
say
get
this.
into the same situation that they got into.
And I'm not defending the superintendent, but I will say this: if you think about it, when you say rogue, and I don't
Right.
agree with it, but when
Okay.
you say that, that's someone that's ran off and done something and not in unity, and that's what happened basically, right?
Okay.
So I think that's where she got that at. You know, when she.
So
kinda
you saying
said,
there
you know,
was a rogue
yeah,
action
what I'm
because it
saying,
wasn't done through the
all
union.
I'm saying is that that you know because when they do that and the union's not engaged,
And it was.
yeah.
I mean, if we be perfectly honest, it was.
Yeah. So what I'm saying,
You know,
when you do that and the union's not engaged, right?
Right.
Then we got to go and say, hey, we
Try to
ain't got
clean
nothing to
it
do
up,
with that.
right.
Yeah. So what I think was, and I'm not saying the way she done it and said it was right, but what she was really trying to say.